Okay, so today we are going through just some secondary, getting ready for the school year items. So these are the things that we're thinking you probably want to make note of before the students arrive next week. And we'll go through each of these, and then we're excited to be able to say that we're coming out to your buildings for IIB again, or after school PD if you're at the high school this year. So we'll continue to talk about Canvas even more. It'll be all in person, which is very exciting for us. So let's get started. So today's agenda, we're going to look at making sure you know where your Canvas courses are if you haven't already done that. Those became available last week. We'll look at importing content into those courses and just some best practices because we've been doing this for a few years now. You might not want to dump everything from last year into this year, especially since, last year we had some procedures and things that we might not have this year, or there's going to be new things this year and all of that. So we'll look at importing content into your course. We're going to make some suggestions with homepage setup and give you some resources. We'll talk about textbooks as well. We'll give you the reminder of how to sync your grades. This is always that's the number one question that we get at the beginning of the year. My grades aren't syncing. What did I do wrong? So we'll look at syncing grades and preparing to sync your grades. We'll also go into Dino and give you some reminders and updates about some things that have come across in Dino over the last year. And then finally, we'll wrap it up with 2 resources for you in Incident IQ and the TSC Connected Learning Team YouTube channel. So we've had a lot of really great summer sessions, and those are going to continue to be available on our YouTube channel beyond this summer. So locating those Canvas courses, just as a reminder, they are going to be unpublished by default. So when you get onto your dashboard, depending on how many sandbox courses you have, I have a ton of sandboxes, but depending on how many sandbox courses you have, you may need to scroll down a bit, and in your unpublished courses, you'll actually have a section that says unpublished courses. You will then see your courses for this school year. If you don't see the courses there, you can always click on the courses icon, which is the little book, and then all courses, and that will then take you to every course you have available. As a reminder, you'll want to star the courses that you're currently using. You are also already rostered and you have available to you your second semester courses. So if you know that maybe your homepage stays the same across the whole school year, you can actually import that homepage to all of your courses, even your semester 2 courses already. You don't have to wait for those for December to come. Those are already available. You can begin building those. So you'll star your courses, and then they'll show up on your dashboard and in your calendar. Again, reminder, this is going to be the same for students. So students will likely have last year's courses starred. Those will no longer be available. They'll come in the first day and say, I don't see any courses on my dashboard, or I'm not seeing your course on my dashboard. They'll go to all courses, and then they can actually star those courses that you've made available. Of course, you will want to make sure that you publish everything once it's ready for students. Students won't have access to their course until the first day of school. So you could publish them today just to make sure that they're out there, and then students won't actually get into it until that first day of school. So that's locating your Canvas courses. And again, if you have any questions on that, just use the chat, and Chad and Jenny will answer any that you have. So importing content into your course. We've been doing this for several years, but we always only do it, once a semester or maybe twice a year. So copying our Canvas course. So when I get into Canvas, I'm going to go to my settings in that course, that brand new course, and I'll click import course content over on the right-hand side. Once I'm there, I'm going to copy a Canvas course and then select the course, and you'll have a little drop-down menu of what course you want to select. You can either opt to import all content, which is going to be everything, your settings, your homepage, all of it, or you can select specific content. When we first started Canvas, honestly, a lot of people were importing all content, and it made sense to do that. At this point now, we're several years into Canvas, and it may not be best to import everything all at once. You may do select specific content, and you may want to only bring over like your first couple modules and maybe your homepage, but not absolutely everything right at the beginning, because you may want to vet some of that stuff that you have created over the last year. So just keep in mind, it's not always like, we're not robots. We don't always have to import all content. You can just select specific content and then you'll get some checkboxes. So let me get into Canvas just to remind you what that looks like when you go to import your content. So I'm going to open up, like, let's say this is my brand new course. I'm going to come down here to the bottom left to settings. I'm going to import course content over here on the right. And then copy a Canvas course. I'm going to select specific content and choose import. When I choose that select specific content, it's going to give me this select button here. And then I'm able to decide what content do I want to select. So in this case, I happen to have apparently a lot of modules in that class. So we'll just import these 2 modules. If I had pages, so like a home page, it would show up here as well. Also, if I want to do my course settings, I can select those. So I'm going to choose select content, and then it's going to begin to import that content for me, and it will show up in my modules when it's completed. So that is importing course content. You are able to adjust events and due dates here. It's okay. It's okay, but if it were me, I would probably hand adjust those dates, because it's just going to take all your dates and it's going to shift them. So you can shift them, but you're probably going to have to do some maneuvering in there based on, like last year we started later than we would have normally. So obviously that's going to be a difference, and there's breaks that maybe don't align. So you can adjust those events and due dates, but then I would go in and just verify that those things are correct. And obviously as you change due dates within your course, those due dates then will be reflected in there. Let's see if my modules have come over. There we go. So now I've got these 2 modules. I don't even know where these came from, but I've got these 2 modules that have come through in my course import. So that's importing content into your class. Before I go through this next item, I want to let you know that we had a fantastic summer PD session by Amanda Beck, who is a German teacher at Harrison. She did a session all about organization in her Canvas course, and it's phenomenal. She really went through like all the different options of how she has organized things, and you get like a peek into how she organizes her course within Canvas. So when I send my follow-up email today, I'm also going to include the link to her presentation, and I highly recommend, even if you feel like I'm a Canvas super user, you might want to still watch this video, because it's so good, the stuff that she talks about and the way that she's organized her content. So let's talk about your homepage. Again, something that we've probably had created several years ago. Maybe it's updated, maybe it isn't, but these are just some new ideas with adding content to your homepage. So obviously you're going to have important class information. That's a given. Yes, you'll have that important class information. But we also want you to consider maybe creating a weekly agenda. So you can see this example of a weekly agenda here. I create that in slides, and I'm going to embed it on my homepage. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to do all those steps right now. But why would I do that if Canvas already has a calendar? If you have a student who's a middle schooler or high schooler, you may already know this, but you may want to just look at some of your students' Canvas calendars when they get into your class next week or several weeks in. If you ever go to a student's Canvas calendar, it can get really overwhelming and messy. And that's because they probably have 6 different classes with assignments everywhere and due dates for different things and weekly agendas in different locations. And I know some schools have tried to keep it consistent with their teachers, but again, it can be kind of overwhelming. So if we have students that are already having difficulty staying organized, telling them to just go to the Canvas calendar might not be the best option for them. So what can I do as a teacher that isn't a whole lot of extra work for me, but might make the experience better for my students? And that's creating a weekly agenda. When I send my follow-up email, you will have a link to this presentation. And that's because I've actually created, or I stole it from somebody that said I could steal it, but I stole a weekly agenda slideshow. So when you click on this, it's going to let you make a copy of it, but I'll show you what it looks like. So you'll get a copy of this template, and obviously you can delete this week here because this is, unless you happen to teach, looks like earth space science, this probably isn't applicable. But down over here on the left-hand side, as I go down, I'm going to get blank weekly agendas, and then you can just adjust these dates. You can add additional weeks in there, and then students would have access to that. My recommendation for this is to keep the current week at the top. So I would move the most recent week is going to be all the way up here at the top. So this is what we're currently dealing with. And then all the later weeks would be down below that. And all I have to do is just update this each week, add some information in there. And I might even actually link to that Canvas assignment. And so you can see here, she has some links to Canvas. There is a great video. The gal that put it together is Nadine Gilkison. She does an awesome job of explaining how she would use this in her classroom. So their district is asking teachers to put something like this on their homepage. So, okay, so I like the idea of doing a weekly agenda. I want to put this on my homepage. What does that process look like? So I'm going to create a brand new page for my class because I don't have a homepage currently. You might have one already, but I'm going to add this homepage. I'm going to name it Homepage 2021 so that in future years, I know that that's the one that I created that has the embedded slideshow on it. So I might have some class information here. I might have contact information. And I'm going to make these into headings so that students know. And then I have our weekly agenda. Again, oops, not heading 2, heading 3. All right, so now I'm going to go and embed that. So I'm going to use the new Google Drive LTI. You don't see this window right now, but there is a window that I'm selecting the file. I have to make sure it's shared. There we go. Okay, so I share that file, I selected it, and then right up here, I get that weekly agenda. So I'm gonna just make this a little bit smaller. Looks like I could. Maybe not. There we go. So now we're able to see, here's our class information, our contact information, and our weekly agenda, and that's going to stay there in my, embedded on my page. I'm going to shut off, or I'm going to actually make the autoplay every minute instead of every 2 seconds. So it won't play as quickly in there. And I can also, students are able to open this in Google Slides if they want more information in there, but then I'm just going to choose this save and publish. So there's our weekly agenda. It will be embedded on my homepage, and I could make it a different size if I want to. Just for the sake of time, I'm going to keep it like this. And then now I want to actually make that my homepage, because if I go to home, and you probably remember these steps, it's not there yet. So how do I make it my homepage? If I have multiple pages, it's probably not my front page, and it's not my front page because I haven't told it to be. So I'm going to come over here on the right-hand side and I'm going to choose use as front page. And then if I want to use this as my home page, now I'll choose home page over here on the right. So let's talk about these options over here, because I have seen teachers do it two different ways. You don't have to create a homepage unless your principal tells you you have to create a homepage. It's totally up to you, because I could also argue that your course modules are just as useful to students as an actual course homepage. So maybe you just want your course modules up there, and your first module is course information. And so it's got your contact information. It has a weekly agenda. It has, course expectations, whatever that first module would be. And then it's got all the content underneath it. So you don't necessarily have to be like a graphic designer to create this beautiful looking homepage. Maybe it's just your course modules, and that's most useful for your students. I'm going to choose my pages front page since I spent a little time creating that. I'll save that. And then as I update that weekly agenda, it's going to show up here. So those updates will come through to students, and all I need to do, I never need to update my homepage. I just need to add information into that weekly agenda slideshow. So again, you have access to this in our presentation. You can just click that and it'll make a copy for you as well. Okay, just a textbook reminder. I know if you have a textbook integration or your textbook is supported by the technology department, Jenny has been contacting you this week. So we just want to remind you that if you have any questions, to contact Jenny, and she is requesting that you include the course, your name, and the textbook name when you have questions. So sending that information is going to help her get your question answered quickly. And I'm going to let Jenny also talk here because it looks like she's raised her hand.
I really wasn't trying to raise my hand. I was just going to thank you for adding that. With the amount of textbooks that are adopted, each year we get a new adoption, but we have to remember, for the last 6 years what those previous ones were. So this just helps me. I mean, I do know most teachers, and I might know what you teach, but what the actual textbook or the vendor is, it's just hard for me to keep that in my head. It just really helps me help you quicker if you can tell me what that is. So thanks.
Awesome. So that's textbook reminders there. Okay, my favorite topic, because we get this question all the time, and I'm hoping that at least the people that watch this video will know what to do and they won't have any questions with syncing their grades with PowerSchool. So as a reminder, we're able to sync grades from Canvas to PowerSchool, which makes it very convenient. Keep everything. You can grade things in Canvas once students turn those in and send that grade over to PowerTeacher. So how do I get ready to sync my grades? So step number one is you need to make sure that you go into PowerTeacher and that your categories are set up properly, or the categories that you want to use are there. So you may need to add additional categories, or you may just decide to use the default categories, those being classwork, project, quiz, and test. If you want to add new categories or customize that at all, we have a link right here that will give you more information on doing that. So step one, I make sure that my PowerSchool looks good and I have the correct categories. Step number two, now I'm going to go into each of my Canvas courses. Yes, each one. This includes second semester courses. I'm going to go into my assignments area in that course. I'm going to choose the 3 dots at the top right-hand corner next to creating a new assignment. And I'm going to choose to import assignment groups. Import assignment groups. I'm not going to do that because I don't have a PowerSchool class, so it won't do anything for me. But once I import those assignment groups, this icon right here, the paper with the arrow, will now show up next to the assignment groups that I have. As a fair warning, we have been doing this syncing with PowerSchool for a few years now. So you will most likely have duplicate categories. So actually, let me duplicate one of these categories so that you can see what I mean. So I'm going to call this PowerSchool assignments. So what I might see is let's imagine that this PS assignments is actually the paper. So this is the correct one that was just imported. This assignments category is from last year. It doesn't have the paper in it, which means that this category is not going to sync with PowerSchool. But if I go in to create an assignment and I want to put that assignment under the category, it's going to show up as assignments and assignments. They're going to look the exact same. So what I recommend doing is once you import your content, you import those PowerSchool categories, click and drag your assignments to the PowerSchool categories that they should go to, and then delete these groups so that any group that does not sync with PowerSchool is gone. You don't want any group that doesn't already sync with PowerSchool, because if you have it, you may get confused on where you're putting those assignments, and then that's why that assignment might not be syncing. A few other reminders with this little circle here, the left-hand circle, that is the sync to PowerSchool. When I create an assignment, if I don't already check, let me scroll down here. If I don't already check this sync to PowerSchool right here, that circle is not going to show up. So let me add this assignment. I want file upload. It's going to be due then. Okay, so back to my assignments here. I have a PowerSchool sync. So this, see how it's not checked here? So in order to sync this assignment, I will want to make sure that I check that. I don't have to edit the assignment. I can just check that circle and it will sync. Once an assignment has synced and I'm done, the grades are not going to be adjusted after that. I'm going to turn off that assignment. At the end of the 9 weeks, so sometime in mid-October, we usually send a reminder to you to turn off any assignments that are set to sync from the first 9 weeks. Why do we do that? Because if you have an assignment that is set to sync outside of the current grading period, it will make your grade sync fail. So you'll get an error when you try to sync your grades because it's not in the current grade period. So those, when you contact Jenny and I about my PowerSchool grades aren't syncing, we're looking at first, did you import your categories? Second, are all of the assignments that you're trying to sync in a PowerSchool category? And then third, are they within that date range of the proper quarter? So those are the things that we're really looking for. And I would say, and Jenny would probably say the same thing, 99% of the issues that we have with grade sync are solved by those 3 things. So again, your categories are correct, the assignments are in a category, and it's within that grading period window. Just as a reminder also, if you create new assignment groups, those might take 24 hours to actually go into Canvas. So you may want to set those things up now. The other place that I want to show you about, and mine isn't going to show you very much, but I do want to make you aware of this area. You have access to this area as well. And Jenny and I use it all the time. So if you have a question, we're going to go here first. So we're going to come to Grade Sync, and that's going to let us know if you've synced grades and there's been a problem. It will tell us what the error was. So most of the time it's missing category, or the assignment's not in the correct grading period. So those are a few things to note. All right, so you've done all the steps, you have taken our advice, but you want the grades to sync nightly. You don't want to have to go in and actually tell it to sync. So when I come to Grade Sync here, I'm going to go to Settings and then Nightly Sync. I'm going to turn that on. It will automatically sync those grades, or it's going to look every night at about 2 a.m. if those grades need to sync, and it will sync those grades automatically for you. So of course, if there's any questions about GradeSync, you can throw those in the chat, or you can ask us via email. We're happy to help with that, because we know even though it's been here for a couple years, it is newer for some teachers that haven't been using that. All right, next we're going to move on to Dino. So as a reminder, at TSC, we purchased Dino in our middle schools and high schools, which allows you to monitor student screens. You'll still be able to get to Dino the same way. Those classes should be there, I believe, and Chad can verify in the chat with me, but those classes should be ready for you. And then you'll be able to start monitoring students next week when they show up. You'll click that Start Monitoring to actually monitor those classes, and none of that has really changed. Blocking plans allow you to actually, classes will not be available until August 11th. I'm glad I asked. So classes are available for you and students next Wednesday. So you'll have those, but nothing should really be changed with monitoring your classes. With blocking plans, this might be helpful if you're going to be giving a test on Canvas and you want to make sure that the students stay within that testing window. You can choose to allow only that particular like tsc.instructure.com so that students are staying in Canvas, or you can also choose to block only, so block particular websites as students are in your classes. So you can create those blocking plans. We also have segmented blocking. None of this is new. It should all be familiar with you but segmented blocking allows you to move students from one blocking plan to the next. Maybe as they finish a quiz, you can allow them to get out of that blocking plan and continue to do whatever school work they need to do. Something new in Dino this year, we're pretty excited about this, but we now have the ability on student Chromebooks to actually close tabs. So if a student has a tab open that they shouldn't, all you'll need to do is just hover your mouse over that student's grid view, click it so that you can expand it to a larger view there. Find the tab that you want to close and then click the X associated with that tab, and it will allow you to actually close the tab on the student's Chromebook. There's more information about monitoring tabs on Chromebooks, in addition to not just closing those tabs, but actually viewing what tabs your students have available. You can check all of those things out. You're also able to send a message from this view and block a particular activity from this view. We're going to be coming out this fall and talking a little bit more about Dino so that everybody knows about this new feature here, but just know that you guys are some of the first people that we've told about this brand new feature, closing a tab. And then as a reminder, you do have class history available. I think this is really important if you have parents that might be asking questions. They might want to know, why is my student not doing well in your class? And you may want to just pull up that student's history and say, well, let's see what they're doing with their time in my class. If you're a study hall teacher, it might be the same thing here, but you're able to review activity for students. This could be helpful as you're meeting with kids and they're coming into your classroom, or if they're working independently on things. So those are just quick reminders with Dino, just something that's continuing to be available to you as students are coming back into school. Just some best practices. Please do not rename courses. This will break the PowerSchool connection, which we use to update rosters. Make sure you're ending your session. If a student does not show up, or a student shows up as not monitored, but they're sitting in your class and they have their Chromebook open, they may have shut off their Wi-Fi. They may be in another class, or they may have to reboot their Chromebook. So rebooting that Chromebook should be the solution to getting them into your monitored class. You can add your own co-teachers or email the Connected Learning team if that person is not in Dino. So just some quick reminders for you. All right, finally, we're going to go into some Connected Learning team supports as we begin this school year. Last August, in all of the turmoil, we also decided to introduce a new ticket system to TSC. So we've been using Incident IQ for about a year now. Just as a reminder, you're able to submit tickets for items within your classroom. And these are not just hardware issues. So it's not just my screen on my laptop is broken. Maybe you're having an issue with Canvas or with Dino or XYZ. There's several different programs in there that you can actually submit trouble tickets for software issues as well. We have created a video from last year as well as an introductory slideshow that just shows you how to submit a new ticket and navigate around through that system. You can get Incident IQ on your phone as an app. You'll just sign in with your TSC Google account, and it makes it really easy then to create a ticket on the fly if you need to. Once that ticket is created, it will go to the correct person. So either your building technician or the connected learning team, one of us will pick it up and then we'll be able to respond to that ticket. Additionally, in Incident IQ, we have something called the knowledge base, and basically anything that our team has ever created in terms of help documents is added to the knowledge base. When you submit a ticket for software issues, there may be a knowledge base article, a help article that addresses those issues. So troubleshooting Chromebooks or Canvas or Dino, there's several different articles within there. You can browse the knowledge base to see if maybe your question can be answered in there. If not, when you submit a ticket, you might get suggested articles. Again, if not, when we answer your question, if we know that there's like a help document, we'll include it in our response to let you know that, hey, we've already got a document that addresses this question. Here you go. Here's the information that you need. But you have this available to you. It might display KB or knowledge base in Incident IQ. Next is the TSC YouTube channel to catch up on all the professional development that we've been going through this last year. Let me pull this channel up for you and show you some of my favorite videos from this school year. That actually some teachers that are in this session today, I have 3 presenters that actually did sessions for us. But I want to talk about 2 Canvas sessions that I think are going to be super helpful for you. They're all going to be in this playlist here. And those 2 sessions are Canvas and Grading with Kelly Carpenter. I'll put that in the chat. That's Canvas and Grading with Kelly Carpenter. And then this is a newer one. This is Canvas Organization with Amanda Beck. Again, if you're a Canvas super user and you feel like you know it all, I would still watch Amanda Beck's session because it's so good. And then today's session will actually be thrown into this information as well. But you can browse any of the videos that we've created over this last summer. Just as a reminder, PGP's 4 door prizes are due by tomorrow afternoon. You can continue to get PGPs for all of these sessions until the end of August. And then the session videos will still continue to be available beyond August. We also have all the videos that we've created over the last year. And there are several great sessions about like organizing your Canvas course in modules, setting up Screencastify if you want to use that, providing feedback and SpeedGrader, and accessing teacher feedback for students. There's just a lot of information that we've tried to make available to you as teachers as you continue to look for ways to grow professionally. We want to make this really an on-demand experience for you. So the Connected Learning Team YouTube channel is hopefully going to be very helpful. If you subscribe, you'll actually be notified when we post anything. I already mentioned that we're going to come out in person to your buildings this year, but we're also going to continue to record webinars to make available to you so that if you've got, an IIB where your teacher or your principal says to go learn something new, you might be able to look through our YouTube channel and see like some 10 or 15 minute videos that just teach you something new in Canvas. And then finally, the Connected Learning Team, you can book me links. Those can be found in this slideshow, in all of our email signatures, as well as on the TSC webpage. I'm going to go under the technology department. This page has been revamped this summer, and you'll see now we have student resources, parent resources, and staff resources. If you come to this page, you will be asked to sign in, just your username and password. But over here on the left-hand side, you'll see the links to book appointments with each of us, as well as a link to Incident IQ here. And then as I scroll down to the bottom, all those newsletters that I'm sure every single one of you reads from top to bottom are all archived on our webpage. So if you want to look back at any of that information, you can check that out here. We have that from the last several years. So there's a lot of cool information in there and things that we recycle and stuff. But any webinars that we talked about last year are all going to be within these newsletters as well. So we're trying to give you as many resources and as many ways to connect with our team as possible so that you guys can get all your questions answered whenever it's convenient for you. So at this point, I'm going to open it up to questions. I'm going to stop the recording first, though. And then if you want to unmute, you're welcome to do that, or you can just